Tomorrow marks 3 weeks since the Parkland school shooting, and many voices have emerged in the fight for tougher gun laws, including many of the students of Stoneman Douglas High School.
They say that tougher gun laws do not decrease gun violence. We call BS!
Our politicians are cowards, and they won't. They won't gather the strength even to stand up to the NRA like Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, or Donald Trump.
Senator Rubio, it's hard to look at you and not look down the barrel of an AR-15 and not look at Nicholas Cruz.
Oh, tough moments. But one student that you may not have seen in all this coverage has a different point of view, and he feels that that point of view has been ignored in all of this. Kyle Kashuv is a 16-year-old junior at Stoneman Douglas. He's a conservative and a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. Kyle, thank you for being here tonight. Just as your fellow students have every right to have their voices heard, you also have a right to hear your voice heard. Not to dwell on it, but tell us quickly what your experience was that day. Where were you when it started?
So I was in an adjacent building. So I was in the classroom. There were 20 minutes left. We just heard the fire alarm ring. So we were walking outside. I was towards the end of the group because I grudgingly didn't want to go out. All of a sudden we heard an announcement that said that we had to leave, so I evacuated. And we heard 2 little pops, and I thought they were textbook falling. So we quickly ran into another room. And then we hid there for 2 hours until SWAT came to take us out.
Yeah, awful. And you feel that your perspective on this issue is worth having everyone here as well. Tell me about it. What is it?
Well, my perspective is that we have to focus first on what we can achieve, and that is bipartisan change. That is mental health restrictions and deeper background checks. The debate on gun control should be a broader discussion that we needed to have after we can secure our schools. That is a priority.
So you feel, and Andrew Pollack, whose daughter Meadow died at Parkland, he was here last night, and he has the same perspective. It's not that he doesn't ever want to talk about that, but he wants to pass things that you feel can be passed first, right?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's absolutely paramount. We have to make sure that we secure our schools first and make sure this will never happen again, and only then can we have the gun control debate.
I want to play David Hogg, who has been out there a lot. He's become, sort of very familiar to Americans. Here he is speaking out for on his side. Watch this.
I actually hung up on the White House the other day. They actually called me the day before the listening session and asked if we were going to come. And I said, I'm not coming because we expect President Trump to come to the CNN town hall. And I ended on this message with them. I said, President Trump, we don't need to listen to President Trump. President Trump needs to listen to the screams of the children and the screams of this nation.
What do you think about that, Kyle?
I'm really trying to control my anger at what he said. Because, the president calls you and it shows he wants to make a change, and you're talking about bipartisan change, and the one man who controls, who leads our nation, comes to you and is like, look, let's do something, let's make it happen, and you hang up the phone on him. That's so hypocritical. David Hogg was like, we have to make a change, let's make this happen, and then the White House calls you and it was like, let's do it, I totally agree, let's make the change, and then you hang up on him and then you brag about it on national television. It's extremely counterproductive.
Have you talked to him? Have you told him how you feel about all this?
I haven't talked to David Hogg about this, no.
What's your hope for the immediate change? I know the legislation is going through Florida right now.
Well, I'm really hopeful because right now I see that a lot of positive legislation is being passed. We see that mental health restrictions are getting in place and deeper background checks. And I really think that it represents how non-divided our country is and how decisive we can be.
Kyle, thank you. We're sorry for what happened to you and all your friends and everything at your school. And we're glad that you have a chance to get your feelings out there about how you feel we can move forward as a nation. Thank you, Kyle. Keep in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Okay.